Are you struggling to decide which horror movie to watch next? Don't feel like doom scrolling for 2 hours only to find a mediocre film? Well, luckily in this video, I'm giving you 11 more great horror movies currently streaming on Hulu so that you know what to watch tonight. This is Nonstop Horror. My name is Cameron, and I've been watching horror movies since like 2001, so I've seen my fair share of horror, and I know how hard it is for you to find the good flicks in a sea of thousands of movies. And that's why I make these videos. I make it my job to improve your horror movie nights, and part of that is by scouring the internet for the best horror movies and recommending them to you. Today, we are covering the streaming service Hulu. If you don't have Hulu, these horror movies are still worth knowing about and maybe adding to your watch list, maybe to watch at a later date or to rent or buy them. Make sure to give the video a like and to subscribe if you enjoy talking about horror movies all year long. So we're covering 11 horror movies in this video, but Hulu is also great if you want to watch some classics like Cabin in the Woods, Sinister, the Alien franchise, the Saw franchise is on there, and The Fly. Those are just some notable movies streaming on the platform if you're in the mood for those classic favorites. But enough yapping, let's get to the list. It's the perfect time to go watch Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. It's his gory, self-aware throwback to the golden age of slashers, wrapped in a layer of dark humor and holiday chaos. It kicks off with a Black Friday riot gone horribly wrong and uses that event as the backdrop for a revenge-driven killing spree in a small Massachusetts town. This one isn't exactly terrifying, but it's an absolute blast. The kills are brutal, the practical effects are top tier, and there's enough twisted creativity in each scene to keep longtime horror fans grinning. The humor lands more often than not, with plenty of intentionally cheesy lines that make it feel like a lost slasher from 1986, just with a little bit of a modern polish. Roth's direction feels confident again after a few uneven projects, and there's real potential for a new horror icon in the film's masked killer, John Carver. It's not flawless, the story dips into messy territory if you really start tugging at the logic threads, and the tone wobbles between satire and sincerity, but it's hard not to have fun with a movie this gleefully blood-soaked. At 6.2 on IMDb, it's clearly dividing audiences, but Thanksgiving knows exactly what it wants to be. A holiday horror romp that's part parody, part homage, and entirely self-aware. If you want a straight slasher to celebrate the upcoming holiday, watch Thanksgiving. If you're into slow burn horror that sneaks up on you and then absolutely destroys you, The Wailing should jump straight to the top of your watch list. Directed by Na Hong Jin, who did The Chaser and The Yellow Sea, this Korean horror epic starts like a police procedural. A small-town cop is just investigating a series of bizarre, violent deaths after a mysterious stranger arrives in the village. But what begins as a crime story quickly morphs into something way more sinister, mixing possession, folklore, shamanism, and pure existential terror. The movie is 2.5 hours long. It takes its time, but that's exactly what makes it effective. The tension builds like a fever. You don't realize how deeply it's getting under your skin until it's too late. The visuals are stark and beautiful, and the performances, pitch perfect. The final act, good luck sleeping after seeing it. There's a genuine sense of cosmic horror in The Wailing as well, the kind that kind of leaves you questioning what you just saw and what it all means. It doesn't hold your hand, and it doesn't tie things up neatly. It just burrows into your brain and just stays there. If you like movies like Hereditary, The Exorcist, or The Medium, this one's absolutely in your lane. And with this movie now on Hulu, there's never been a better time to finally experience one of the most acclaimed international horror films of the 2010s. Let's stick around in the Asian territory right now. I will never stop singing the praises of The Host, which is a fantastic creature feature coming out of South Korea. It's made by Bong Joon-ho, who directed Parasite and Snowpiercer, and it is one of my favorite horror films of all time. It came out back in 2006, and it has had ebbs and flows of popularity throughout the years. In The Host, an American pathologist orders his Korean assistant to dump over 100 bottles of formaldehyde down the drain, which eventually leads into the Han River. Now, this contamination creates a giant, scary, mutated amphibious creature that decides one day to just wreak havoc on the surrounding area. Caught in the middle of this is the Park family, which consists of a man, his daughter, his father, and his brother and sister. Together, he and his father run this little snack stand in the middle of the park, which is where the creature attacks. And during that attack, the man's daughter is captured by the creature and taken into the labyrinthian sewers surrounding the park. The family must fight and break into the now restricted park area to retrieve his daughter while they still can. So the inspiration for this film actually stemmed from a real-life event that happened in 2000 where Americans commanded the disposal of formaldehyde down a drain leading to the Han River. Go America. This is perfect for fans of creature features and Asian cinema. It's definitely not going to let you down. Okay, the creature design does give sci-fi original at times, but the storytelling and drama more than make up for it. Hell of a Summer is going to be your go-to horror movie this weekend if you're looking for a comedy horror that takes place at a summer camp. And the synopsis is as basic as it gets. The counselors of a summer camp are terrorized by a masked killer. Wonder where they got the inspiration for that film. Jokes aside, this is Finn Wolfhard's directorial debut. He wrote and directed this with Billy Brick, both of whom star in the film as well. And apparently the film was initially conceived when Finn and Billy met on the set of Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it finally came to fruition with a festival run in 2023. Neon picked up the distribution rights in 2024, and then it finally got a theater release this year. There are other homages to Friday the 13th besides the plot synopsis, like one of the main characters' name is Jason. There's a few small homages to Scream as well. This really felt like a love letter to those slashers of the past. In tone and style, it's very lighthearted, though, compared to those movies I just listed. The movie does lean heavily into the comedy, with a lot of the humor revolving around stuff that teenagers would find hilarious, so if you're too old for that and don't like having fun, maybe skip this one. This one is definitely aimed at a teenage audience, like they're trying to make a Friday the 13th for the newer generations, and while it doesn't really land that plane, you gotta respect the high bar that they were trying to achieve. As far as kills go, Hell of a Summer took it pretty easy. The kills are mostly off-screen and pretty tame, so there's not really a lot of gore. It felt like they wanted to be Scream meets Sleepaway Camp, but didn't want to take the risks associated with that label. But overall, it is an entertaining experience. If you want another great summer camp horror movie from this year, I highly suggest watching Marshmallow as well. It Feeds is a Canadian supernatural horror film starring Ashley Greene, Ali O'Brien, and Shawn Ashmore. Cynthia is a psychiatrist who has the power to see into her patients' minds. After a girl named Riley comes to Cynthia and her daughter Jordan and claims that a supernatural entity is feeding off of her, Jordan, the daughter, is determined to help Riley at all costs. This is a haunting, moody, supernatural horror film with strong performances from our two leads, played by Ashley Greene and Ali O'Brien, who play the mom and daughter. The mom is reluctant at first to treat the young girl because of how intense this attachment is, but the daughter convinces her to help. And honestly, this is just a straight-laced supernatural horror, no tricks or gimmicks, no drastic plot twists. What you see is what you get, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the movie speaks to processing trauma as well. These are two women who lost a husband and father, so we do a little bit of unpacking there as well, with a heartwarming end to that little subplot, I'll say. And writer-director Chad Archibald has stated in interviews that he created this demon in the movie as an allegory for cancer after losing his parents to cancer. And he also notes how great it was to create characters that could essentially battle this demon / cancer, which I thought was an intriguing insight into the making of the movie. A few moments in the movie had me jumping out of my seat, and all I'll say is shout out to the makeup department. The demon in It Feeds is probably the scariest looking thing I've seen in a horror movie this year. And there's a very small role given to Julian Richings, who is one of those know the face but not the name actors in horror. But whenever he's on screen, you know he's going to give a great performance. Plot-wise, it doesn't tread any new ground, plenty of familiar story beats and tropes. Like, this could fit right into the Insidious universe now that I think about it. But overall, if you enjoy supernatural, ghost, or demon-infused horror movies, there's a good chance you'll enjoy It Feeds. I've said it before and I'll say it again, The Damned is criminally underrated. This movie came out way back in January and has been on my mind ever since. I loved the feeling I got watching it and just the whole atmosphere and mythology that surrounds the film. For this one, we're heading to the 19th century at a remote Icelandic fishing village. The story follows a grieving widow forced to make a harrowing decision after a foreign ship sinks just off the shore. She has to decide whether her village helps the crew of the ship or leaves them out to inevitably freeze and die. And what follows is an eerie, slow-burning descent into paranoia, superstition, and survival as the villagers begin to suspect they're being punished for their choices. The isolation and bitter cold become the perfect backdrop for a deeply unsettling unraveling. Like I mentioned, the atmosphere is absolutely stunning, with the filmmakers really utilizing the setting to highlight this. We've got the snow-capped mountains, crashing waves, endless fog. It all just lends to this haunting sense of dread that seeps into every frame. The cinematography is gorgeous, and the sound design will sneak up on you with well-earned jumps that hit way harder than they should. The buildup of tension in the film is unreal. Think like The Thing meets Nordic folklore. That creeping sense of mistrust builds between characters in a way that feels incredibly grounded, especially as survival pressures mount. Odessa Young leads a cast of completely believable characters who look and feel like real people living in a harsh, unforgiving world. What really stood out to me, though, is how the film explores guilt and moral consequence. There's a moment early on in the film where I had to ask myself, like, would I have done the same thing? And that question lingers, shaping how you view everything that comes after. One downside for me is some moments in the finale might feel a bit rushed, and the ambiguity may frustrate those who like everything wrapped up in a nice, pretty bow, but for me, the uncertainty added to the film's grip. It had me thinking long after the credits rolled. The Damned is a chilling, intelligent watch that does way more than just deliver scares. It leaves you with something to chew on. Highly recommend watching it, and also if you enjoy it, go watch season 1 of The Terror. Very similar vibes. Confined to a secluded rest home and trapped within his stroke-ridden body, a former judge must stop an elderly psychopath who employs a child's puppet to abuse the home's residents with deadly consequences. This is an adaptation of a short story by Owen Marshall, and fun little fact is that Marshall actually showed up in the movie as an extra. So I'll admit that I was pretty skeptical about this one, but was pleasantly surprised once the credits started rolling. The film stars John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush, and when John Lithgow plays evil, he is a force to be reckoned with. You'll want to punch his face in this movie. He's really just like a straight-up bully tormenting other residents. He and Jeffrey Rush play opposite each other perfectly in this battle of the deathbeds. There are some truly disturbing scenes in this movie, and they touch on a lot of fears. Aging, not being in control of your own body, being thrown into an old folks' home and dismissed, forgotten, not able to leave. It really makes you think of what the elderly actually go through when put into these homes, because I'm sure at least some of it is rooted in reality. You do have to suspend some disbelief to enjoy the movie. Like, you have to disregard the fact that somehow this entire facility has 0 security cameras. But overall, if you like feeling uncomfortable and disturbed by a movie without a ton of gore or supernatural elements, this one's for you. The movie won Best Director and Best Actor at Fantastic Fest 2024. Stephen King himself stated, "This is one of the best movies I've seen this year," so even more evidence that you should just go watch it. And if you like this movie, I'd recommend going to check out The Home as well, which has a very similar setting. Silent Zone is an interesting addition to this list today, a movie that I probably would have never heard about if it weren't for the relentless research that I do for y'all to find those hidden gems all the time. If you're a fan of apocalyptic zombie horror films, you are in luck because this one is fun as hell, and it was made in Hungary. 10 years after a zombie outbreak, a resourceful teen and her protector fight for survival, facing relentless dangers and testing the limits of hope and loyalty. Some reviews online are touting it as just another zombie flick, and to that I say, and? As you might expect, this is an action horror, and it really never lets up, so it's a great option for you if you like fast-paced horror. The zombies in the film are fast and ruthless, and yes, other humans are also a risk in the movie. It's very tense throughout, and you don't really know when danger is going to strike. Cassius, the older, protector dude, feels like he was written for Dave Bautista, just that very cheesy action hero type of character. But he's played by Matt DeVere, and he has a fabulous lead. He's a world-class actor that needs a world-class script, and he could be the next big movie star. Opposite him is Luca Papp, who plays Abigail, our teenage protagonist, and this is her first role in a feature film. She absolutely kills it, challenging DeVere for the spotlight constantly. With that being said, know that the movie does feel campy at times. The dialogue could be a lot better, but the actors do a fabulous job with what they're given. If you've seen a zombie movie before, you've seen Silent Zone, but sometimes you just need more zombies in your life. This low-budget indie zombie flick is one of the more fun watches of the year. As long as you're not expecting it to redefine the zombie genre, you'll have a blast. Hellraiser has always been one of those horror franchises with a very specific flavor. They're dark, sexual, surreal, and soaked in cosmic suffering. So when Hulu announced a new Hellraiser led by director David Bruckner, who did The Night House, The Ritual, he's done segments on VHS, Fans were pretty nervous, but credit goes where it's due. This 2022 reimagining isn't just a respectable revival of Clive Barker's world. It might be the strongest Hellraiser project since the original 2 films. This version follows a recovering addict named Riley who stumbles onto the infamous puzzle box. Now redesigned to look like an ancient, almost occult artifact with shifting plates and configurations. Unlike earlier entries where the box felt like a simple horror prop, this movie leans hard into its mythology. Each transformation of the box carries weight, purpose, and consequence. It actually feels dangerous again, like something you actually wouldn't want to touch. The Cenobites are the real stars here. Instead of leaning on leather and chains like earlier films, the designs in this version are shockingly elegant, flesh pulled into patterns, skin stretched into clothing, and textures that feel equal parts surgical and ritualistic. Jamie Clayton's Pinhead in this one, called the Priest, is cold, controlled, and mesmerizing. She brings this like eerie calmness to the role that makes her every line feel like a promise that you don't want fulfilled. What the movie does best is its tone. It's slow, deliberate, and drenched in dread. The cinematography is gorgeous in that dark fairy tale way that Bruckner excels at, making locations feel like cursed spaces with their own gravity. It's not trying to be a gore fest, though when the violence hits, it hits, but instead focuses on atmosphere and a sense of inevitable doom. It's also one of the few modern horror reboots that expands the lore without over-explaining it. You walk away feeling like the Cenobites exist in a world far bigger and more ancient than what you just saw, which is exactly the energy Hellraiser should have. While it's not perfect and some character choices will frustrate viewers, Hellraiser succeeds at something rare, honoring a classic while carving out a fresh identity. It's elegant, vicious, and easily the franchise's best entry in decades. Marrowbone is a psychological horror movie about a mother who moves herself and her children from England to rural Maine to escape an abusive monster of a husband/father. The home is secluded and the mother dies, and the children need to hide her death until the oldest sibling turns 21 so that the government doesn't try separating them. It's a rural area, so they're not really near the townspeople, and the children's only connection to the area is a local girl they met early on named Allie, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who lives on a nearby farm. This movie is a tragic drama just as much as it is a supernatural thriller. It is a bit of a slower movie, but plenty of action interjected throughout, and the writing does a great job of keeping you hooked and rooting for these siblings to stay together and figure out what this presence is in their new home. You'll notice some familiar faces in the cast. I already mentioned Anya Taylor-Joy, but Scream Queen Mia Goth plays one of the siblings as well, and Charlie Heaton, known for his role as Jonathan in Stranger Things, is in this one too. And because of this, the acting is a huge highlight in Marrowbone. So Into the Dark is a horror anthology TV show that is hosted on Hulu and produced by Blumhouse Productions. It has a pretty neat concept where each standalone installment is based around a different holiday. And overall, the series is pretty mediocre, but Down is an episode worth checking out. It's going to be episode 5 of season 1, and it revolves around Valentine's Day. After separate long days in the same office building, Guy and Jennifer enter the elevator simultaneously to go home. And with a long weekend ahead of them, no one else left in the building, the pair are ready to get out. But when the elevator breaks, Jennifer and Guy are trapped together. And what starts off as an exciting inconvenience grows increasingly menacing. As the pair probe each other, more information leads only to more danger. That's an interesting way to put that, probe each other. The pros of this are the entertaining dialogue, the single location feature, the heat between the two leads, and the twists and turns that are thrown in to separate this from other elevator horror. It's a tense thrill ride and has a pretty satisfying ending. Because these are episodic, the runtime is a bit lower than a full feature, so it's only an hour and 18 minutes of your time. Now, I don't really recommend diving deeper into the series as a whole unless you really want more Thanksgiving content. Then you can watch Pilgrim, which is episode 2 of season 2. But Down is a hidden gem within the Bland series that is worth getting some attention. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy talking about horror movies all year long. Let me know if you've seen any of these movies or which ones you're adding to your watch list. If you got to the end of the video here and you want even more good horror movies to watch, you can always check out this playlist in the corner here where I cover multiple streaming services. The end of the year is coming up, so we'll have a lot of videos recapping 2025 here in the near future, so make sure you stick around and we can chat all about 2025 horror. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.